Yo, what up guys, Magic IQ here, and I'm back at you guys with another First Descendant video. Now this is going to be my first build video on the First Descendant. Now what that means is this build will continue to evolve over time. I've gotten it to a place though where I'm confident to show it to you. I can confidently solo both Dead Bride and Executioner on hard very consistently in under 4 minutes or around that mark. Once I do this next upgrade actually in a couple levels here, it'll probably be around 3 minutes or even less at that point, just because I'm not dying as quickly as I should to be able to actually reset the fourth talent essentially, which is what does most of the damage on this build. And it's an amazing build. I saw a couple other people already upload something similar, but I just figured out a couple more ways to squeeze a little bit more damage out of it, and I was working on it at the same time as those builds came out unfortunately, but I just wanted my shit to be a little bit more completed by the time I released it. So I hope you guys appreciate that, but without further ado, I'm gonna show you guys the Freyna and the Fallen Hope, as well as what makes that fourth tech so good. That thing is ridiculous as a skill and hits extremely hard. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let's get straight into this build breakdown. So first things first, for the Descendant module is pretty straightforward here. We just have increased HP. HP is the most important stat in this game in terms of health. I don't use armor at all, basically no shield ever on any build, essentially just HP and defense. I don't want to stay alive that often with this build if I'm soloing bosses. I want to use my tech, die, get back in and use my tech again as quickly as possible. That is the goal with this build, but to time it properly, and that's the little bit of skill that you can learn. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but in order to do the most damage, that's how she is used. But in a group, you guys can spec into a little bit more skill cooldown, and I've successfully used this build in a group as well. A group that understands that I will probably go down on purpose, maybe once, not more than that, just because I don't want to jeopardize the life count. But in order to do that extra little bit of damage, if we're about to finish a phase and it seems like we're going to fall a little bit short, I'll purposely go ahead and jump off the map or something on a boss and then respawn and go ahead and kill it with my 4-ult. I just really enjoy using it that way. It's very efficient. You can use it without doing that just to kind of be, I guess, less quote-unquote cheesy, but you're not going to get the full benefit of the damage from this build, honestly, in my opinion. But I hope you guys enjoy it. It's very good for solo bosses and solo farming, and let's get straight into it. So skill concentration and skill insight for both skill crit hit rate and skill hit damage. Okay, crit damage, crit rate on the skills is mandatory. Increased HP 218%. Tech specialist, tech skill power modifier for that tech skill number 4. Defense 78%, skill power 8.1%, already explained. You could use increased defense instead if you want to be a little bit tankier and spec some skill cooldown as well to do a little bit less damage, but be more survivable with a group if your group intends to play that way. All the groups I've been queuing up with essentially have just been doing as much damage as possible on Glaze, and I'm just kind of there with my 4-ult doing as much damage as I can, and I believe I keep up pretty decently. This build does hit very hard. Front lines is mandatory on this for the crit damage and crit rate towards the skill. Toxic specialist as well. Toxic skill power does increase the damage on the 4 tech as well. Very nice. We're just using a short sword here because I don't have that. I've not gone for at least the grapple thing. I don't know why I haven't. I just don't really care for it, but I know it is very good. So if you guys want to use mid-air maneuvering here as well, highly recommend that. There is one more portion of this build that I'm cooking up as well, not finished yet. Again, I don't like to put out unfinished product, guys, with one of her Transcendent modules as well. Actually, a couple of them, so make sure you guys are on the lookout for that. One for mobbing and one for something else. I would definitely say this is a solo boss build 100% through and through. You can use it in open world content as well, but for the bosses, it's going to get you the farm you need. Okay, now for the gun, the main gun, the Fallen Hope, and we're actually using another gun to help our skill and benefit our skill as well, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. I had just recently actually taken off my modules. That helped me do both Toxic Conductor and I had Toxic, I believe, Enhancement on there because I was fighting Devourer, and we completed it in about 2 minutes and 45 seconds. So you guys can use this if you're going against a character that has poison resistance, because me personally, I've only spec'd into one character and I've done 0 pay to progress, and even though I've played for a long time, I've been unlocking other characters, trying to increase my mastery rank and things like that, so it's been a little bit on the slower side. But as you guys can see here, this is going to be my full normal setup for any other boss that actually takes damage to toxicity, because once you get this completely maxed maxed out. Toxic Conductor does stack with the Fallen Hope talent I'm going to show you guys in a second, and you want as much crit as possible with both rifling enforcement for fire ATK and firearm ATK on the action and reaction. So double firearm ATK with as much crit as possible, and toxic enhancement and toxic conductor for additional firearm ATK towards poisoned enemies. Now this gun is amazing because the way we have it rolled right now, we do have it so that it comes with attribute status trigger effect, which is going to go ahead and poison the enemy for us with that toxic enhancement just off the gun, not having to hit it with any skills, which is going to give us that extra damage. We got weak point damage on there as well, crit rate and crit damage on this gun. Pretty god roll. Wish I got some other stats in terms of the rolls. I wish they were a little bit higher, but I'm happy with how it sits right now. Spent way too much resources re-rolling this thing as it sits, but I'm happy with where it stands at the moment. And this setting number 2 right here is if you're specifically targeting weak points and want a little bit more weak point damage, this is going to help you out a lot as well. All we did in this one is switch out Fatal Critical for weak point detection, which is going to be very, very nice, although you are going to be critting a little bit less, so just be cautious of that. And lastly, just to touch up on this Fallen Hope, as you guys can see here, this is the special unique ability that does so much damage with this gun and does stack with our Toxic Conductor here on hitting a poison enemy, firearm ATK 10%, and the explosion in PvE open world is very nice too for all those ads and ad control and things like that. If you were to go ahead and go mobbing and things like that, this gun is pretty decent. I'd probably take the Thunder Cage over it for that specific part of the game, but honestly it's a pretty good choice too. But without further ado guys, let's go ahead and get into the secondary and third weapon here. For the secondary here, we're just using something very basic, the Tamer, which has become a very, very popular gun in the community. I use this specifically for taking out things that need a little bit more extra time to be shot at, like I guess you can say the little healing orbs on Devourer. I'll pull this thing out and go ahead and shoot those. But as far as raw just burst damage, I do use the Fallen Hope mainly on top of the number 4 skill, as well as right here, this is all I have set up on it because I don't have any module capacity for it. I haven't done any slots on it, any little sockets or anything, because I recently got it, and like I said, I am not paying to progress. I am grinding everything out, and I've just recently learned a very efficient method for getting those crystallization catalysts, so you guys will be seeing some of my builds get way more optimized here in the near future. One thing I do want to tell you about though is that if you run a weapon specifically like this beam rifle here with special rounds, you get a talent called Analysis Master, which lowers firearm critical hit resistance to the enemy for 10 seconds, which is nice for your team. They'll crit more as well, so I do run this gun when I plan on switching to my number 4 skill, because expand weapon charge and fire rate up do affect the ult. For some reason they do affect the L1 triangle or the 4 skill, depending on what you want to call it. That tech gun is affected by the Dogma 21 beam rifle here, and we're going to go into the laboratory just so I can show you guys the difference in a second. Now as far as my external components, not completely perfect here, just running the most I can to get a little bit of toxic skill power. So we're just running a couple swamp recon set here, nothing perfect. We got a double defense bag and a double or defense and HP auxiliary power here. Obviously if this was a perfect world, I'd probably want something from some of the later bosses that have to do with toxic skill power. I haven't gotten that far yet personally because I'm spending a lot more of my time farming resources, trying to get as much farm knowledge as possible, just trying to see what the best method is for the future looking forward, because I know if I want to just sit down one day and complete all these bosses, I can get it done, but I've been farming a lot. Now as far as the reactor goes, as you guys see, we are using a purple reactor here just because this is the best option I've had at the moment. It is only rare and not an ultimate part, but it did roll with tech skill boost power, tech skill boost ratio on the skill power boost ratio, and additional skill ATK when attacking Colossus, which is very nice. And we have both a reactor enhanced this twice as well, so I would highly recommend trying to find something with both tech skill boost power ratio up top and in the bottom attributes as well. Eventually I will be unlocking the clairvoyance, so I can use this one right here. I don't even know how to say that. I hope I said clairvoyance right, but we got tech skill boost power ratio here and skill cooldown. The only thing I'd rather have here is skill crit hit rate. Now, if you're wondering how to farm these reactors, it's very, very simple. All you got to do is pull up your map here, hover over whatever area, it doesn't matter. Just make sure your difficulty is on hard. Go ahead and click R3, or I believe on PC it is F. So we're going to go ahead and click F here. And we're going to go ahead and go to the first one, sort by whatever you can put all, toxic, and then we're going to look for tech here. We're only going to be going for these two options. So if you want something with impact rounds, something with general rounds, I'm using impact rounds because me personally, I am trying to get the most benefit out of the build for both my gun and for my team while I'm using the alt, or for myself when I switch back off of the alt and get back on my gun. Hence why I'm using Analysis Master and then switching to the 4 alt, but that's completely up to you on how you want to synergize that. If you just want to run the Fallen Hope up top with 160% skill power for that being mounted, and then skill hit crit rate and skill tech boost ratio on that as well, that's what you should go for. And that's how you look up anything you guys are looking for, as well as if you want to find some processors to run with this build as well that have either double defense or double health. Processors, reactors, memory, you will know what is up right now. This week I believe processors and sensors are up. Next week it will flip probably back to memory and auxiliary powers, but for this week it is sensors and processors, and those are the two places you guys get them. So I hope this has been a pretty decent build breakdown here. All I'm going to do now at this point is just show you guys my statistics so we can go over everything in detail. I hope you guys enjoy and appreciate that. Let's go ahead and take a look at our full statistics here. If I can, go ahead and remember how to pull them up. Alrighty guys, so regarding the build, just to wrap things up right here, this is all of my statistics right here for attack, all of my statistics for skill, my defensive statistics. We have about 6,000 HP and 25,000 defense. Me personally, I like to aim from anywhere from 6 to 8k HP and 25k to 24k defense. If I can get more HP or more defense, if I'm lucky enough with the drops to get double defense or double HP, I would happily take it, but I'm stuck with what I got right now. The more farming I do, I will let you guys know updates and evolutions to this build. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. This is my main character, and I hope you guys learn to tune in for more Freyna content, and any suggestions are more than welcome, you guys. If you guys know of any talents I didn't cover here, any attributes, any modules I should add to this build, any suggestions, I'm open. I'd love to improve the build. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. It's been Magic IQ, and I hope to see you guys in the First Descendant more often. Go tune into my Twitch, twitch.tv/magiciq, and I'm out. Peace.